Hello, IG. Hello, hello, hello. We're going to wait for some people to come in. I'm Deborah Mortimer, waiting for Tiffany Obeng to come in. How's everyone doing? I'm going to wait for more people to come in. Hello. Okay, I think we're having some technical difficulties. There you go. There you go.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly.
Good.
What's going on? Oh my gosh, the way it cuts. Now you can't see.
Yeah.
I had my book perfectly framed. And now you can't see it.
And now, you have to hold it up the whole time.
You know what? I'm gonna prop it up. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna find something.
That's what I've been saying. You think you have everything together and it just comes
everything right? Wait.
What did I tell you? Didn't I tell you? Didn't I tell you this one happened?
I'm gonna have to. You know what? We're gonna have to just show our books because that's not happening.
Well, I got my little backdrop. You see my little cute backdrop?
Oh, that looks great. That's great. That's the little. Okay, that's
right there.
That's the ballerina that's studying her lines. I know that.
Yes, but I'm seeing Legacy has joined our conversation. Hey, girl.
Okay, we got two people. Let's wait a minute. Let's wait a minute and see if anybody shows. Let's see.
I love it.
What color shirt is wearing?
I'm sorry. I'm just so excited that Legacy lineage is here.
Oh, okay.
I'm thinking.
We're supposed to be showing up. I don't know. Let's see if anybody shows up. I was like, should I do glasses? I should do no. I said, but you know what? She's doing glasses, so we gonna look.
We gotta look intellectual.
Right. We're gonna look intellectual today. Like we got, like we're on CNN. Hey. I've got 3 people, so let's wait 2 more minutes and let's see what.
Oh, who did I miss? I want to say hi. Who did I miss?
That's Mickey. That's a
okay.
friend from a long time ago.
Hey, go do your homework, boy.
He wants to be on time too. He wants to be on time.
What I tell you? I told you what to do. I told you.
You're bags, right? What do you expect? I tell mine. He's 20. I had to tell him.
No, he's grown. He's listening. Mine.
No. He's no different from a 5-year-old. No. I don't know what told you that. All right.
She said she's always a supporter. Yes, you are, girl.
Well, at least we each got a friend. At least we each got in here. So maybe we should I don't know, maybe we should get started.
Yeah, let's get started. I will plug real quick that Legacy Lineage has a podcast called Ride With Me, Let's Grow. And I was just on it last week or earlier this week. So y'all go check it out and check her out. Oh, hey,
we got another person. Yeah, I waved.
That's our best friend. Go, best friend, go, best friend, go.
That's awesome. Okay, so you want to go first? Tell people about
Sure. So, can I call you Deborah?
Of course you can.
Debbie, Deb. I didn't want to call you Leap for a book.
Of course you can. What else would you
So, Deborah and I know we're talking like we just know each other like that, but we literally just met maybe 3 weeks ago or so because I was doing an effort of, promoting and supporting other people who have the same type of book topics as mine. So my book topic, of course, if you don't know by now, hey, Gotti. If you don't know by now, is about careers and professions and just teaching kids about, what to be when you grow up. And so Deborah over here has Zorah and the Very Big Question, so that fell in line with the goal. So we've learned in reaching out that, we're both attorneys and we're both going into this self-published author thing journey. And we were just talking about our similar experiences and was like, you know what, let's just talk about it. We're having a girl conversation.
For doing lives because we're just so
animated.
As typical lawyers, we overthink everything. And so
hey, wifey rehab.
Oh, hey. Yes, the wifeys are in the building. Hey, good with that.
Hey, Esquire.
Yes, Mickey's my, she's a lawyer. Also a fellow.
Y'all let us know if y'all have a question, but we'll just start talking.
Okay. So,
A lot of people.
want me to go first?
Yeah, girl.
Okay. All right.
So,
My name is Deborah. Like Tiffany said, I'm a mother, I'm a wife, and now I am an author. So excited. Yes, I'm the author of Zorah and the Very Big Question, which is a story about a little girl whose class is asked the question, what do you want to be when you grow up? And she's kind of like perplexed at the fact that, it seems like everybody else in the class knows what they want to be except for her. So ponders what she thinks is the most important question, which is, what can I be when I grow up? So she kind of like, the reader gets to follow her on over the course of like a weekend, follow her as she like explores and kind of thinks about the people in her life and what they do and what talents and what are her likes and dislikes, and if it relates to that, and if it's something that she would want to do. And by the end, she kind of realizes that a lot of these people look like her. Well, of course, they're people that she knows, so they look like her, and they do really fantastic jobs, and a lot of them are women. So she realizes by the end that as being a little girl, a little black girl, and is not.
Don't give it all away.
She can do anything that she wants. Great for little girls and to dream and to know that there is no limit to anything that you want to do. And what I love about your book is that it's a little boy. So
let me show my book, since you're plugging. Hey, number 2.
Yes. And so what I love about your book is that it's a boy. So it's like the companion with to Zorah. So that's it. Go ahead, your turn. Yeah.
No, so I mean, if we're talking about the book itself, so y'all, I'm becoming a multi-published author, okay? So anywho, well, thanks for joining. We have some more joiners. I just want to say, hey, thank y'all for coming.
Thank you. We got fun.
So, I know, girl. He'll be back in here. You'll meet him in a second. So Andrew, thanks. And I think
amazing book, by the way. Her books are amazing. I really, really enjoyed them.
So this is based off my son, inspired by my son, based off my son. If y'all saw him earlier, his head kind of looks like this. So, hey, thanks for joining. So anyway, this first book is about actors. And so him and Mama just talk about, how actors in the career of acting. It was easy to write. We both love TV. We both love films. And, he was really active with the TV. And I am very interactive with the TV. And so that one was just really fun to write. And that's why that came out first. And people who have bought it enjoy it, and they enjoy their illustrations. And this is like a blown-up version of one of the illustrations in the book, because I love that little girl. And so now, y'all, if y'all been seeing, I have the ebook out at the moment, and this is my proof. But the hard copy, or paperback, will be ready April 1st. And
Yay!
So this one I love because it honors my family. So my husband is a teacher. I've said a million times. My mom is a teacher. I've said that a million times. And I've been through school forever because we're both attorneys. So we've been through school and had our share of teachers and professors. And, it's a pandemic going on. And so this book, while it talks about the career of teaching, it also talks about how important teachers are to us. And Deborah had an exclusive sneak peek into the book, and she loved it. And I, too, had a sneak peek into her book. So it is really good, y'all.
Exclusive sneak peek.
Very exclusive.
Yeah, I love the fact that especially the actors, I love the fact that book showed the glamorous but the not so glamorous side of acting. It was like a really realistic take on actors for children, and that's that they travel a lot, that they got to be sometimes away from their families, that they have to work really hard, they have to study. I really love that, and that it was it was digestible for a child to
because it's rhyming. So it's like, oh, let's rhyme. So like my mom, again, she's a teacher, so she uses this book with her fourth graders. And I'm like, Mom, you really fourth grade? But she uses the book with the fourth graders to teach them about sentence structure and rhyming and things like that. And I was like, oh, I didn't even know it could do all that. So
you packed a lot into them, and I really liked it. The teachers one too. that all the great things that teachers can do, and yeah, I'm pretty sure teachers will love that. That's definitely
I hope so. I really hope so. I really did from the heart.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess let's get down to the nitty gritty of like how we started, all that great stuff, how we started, how we got here, because I don't know, the pandemic was something, right? Well, it's still kind of going on, but 2020 was something, and I think it motivated.
Why do we have access to questions? Sorry, girl.
Oh, sorry. Let's go. Yeah. What do you want children to gain from reading your books?
You can go first.
Of course. I want children to gain empowerment. By reading the book, they're looking. Well, they can take after Zorah, and they can look at themselves and say, well, what do I like? What do I like to do? How does this job relate to me? And also know by the end that you don't have to know what you want to be when you grow up, because Zorah at the end doesn't know. She tells me, I don't know yet what I want to be when I grow up, but I know what I can be, which is anything. And that's the most important I want children to take from it, is that you can become anything.
Yes.
And it's really meant to empower. Like, what motivated me most were I have 6 nieces and nephews, and I'm pretty sure there's more coming, but I got 6 right now, 2 boys, 4 girls. And girls especially, because I know for me, when I was growing up, the things that I thought that I wanted to be were based on what I saw, and I asked with my friends, and they felt the same thing. So I wanted to be a doctor for like the longest time, basically because my big cousin, my mom's cousin actually, is a doctor. She's a Black female doctor, and when I used to go to the hospital sometimes with her, they were all white men, and I was like in awe over the fact that this is this Black woman, there, and she was the only one there, and she was a doctor. So I was like, well, that's it. That's what I want to be. So I want children to understand that representation matters. Your book says the same thing. Representation matters, and when they see themselves in the book, then they know that they matter, they're important, and that they can do anything that they want to do.
Pretty much the same here. So I love that Deborah's book explores many different professions in a very good way. My books take one profession at a time, and so the series is called Andrew's Career Day book series. And so what I'm hoping is that, I don't know how much effort they put into having, hey girl, thanks for joining, story point time. I don't know how much effort they put into, or if they still do career day at schools, like elementary schools, but I want to create this platform for not only representation in different professions, but introduction to all kids, so they can know, like, oh, actors, maybe I would want to look more into being an actor. Oh, a teacher, yeah, I know I'm taught by teachers, but maybe this is something I can do. The next book is going to be about lawyers, of course, so it's like, oh, lawyers, this is what they do. So making, what I say is, now career day can be any day or every day. And so that's the goal, just to educate kids about the different professions that are out there, some that are traditional, some that are not traditional, such as acting. I've told Deborah, and I tell everybody, like, I never was introduced to an actor growing up. Maybe it's because I'm not in Hollywood. I'm just in H-Town. Hi, holla, stand up. So I never was introduced to actors, and so, like I said, that one was just a fun one. And teachers, again, you're taught by them, but maybe you don't think about, oh, let me be a teacher. So I just want to put these thoughts in kids' heads, and when I read them to my son, or my son reads it to himself, that is, I'll ask him, like, is this something you want to be? You want to be an actor? And he'll be like, yeah! And I'm like, okay, great. And actually, this is a little fun fact, the first 5 professions came from him, or maybe 3 of them. So it's going to be lawyers, engineers, after these 2. So I'm like, what do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be a teacher at 22, and I want to be an engineer at 23, and then I want to be, and I'm like, what? So yeah, so just letting them know that it's possible, and there's different jobs out there that you may not see. Because if you do have career day, I remember police officers and firefighters, and I don't know if I'm gonna write about those because we get introduced to them so much, but that's what I remember. So I'm like, let's make it a variety.
I never had career day in school. Never had career day in school.
No.
And it's I grew up in Brooklyn, and it's funny, as like high schools and it's like at a very early age, you're kind of like geared towards a particular profession, and then you go to high school, and then that's all you're introduced to. All like I said I wanted to be a doctor. I went to high school, and my high school, I was in the medics program. The program was for future doctors.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's not good, because then children should explore different things and kind of not really settle on it. So there's a 5-year-old know exactly what they want to be. I mean, some do, but I think you should be allowed to explore. And I think you're really a good teaching tool in the classroom to introduce the different. So I definitely. But we were asked, what age groups are the books written for?
So for mine, I say ages 2 to 7. It has gone up to 8, and I know that the 8-year-old has really enjoyed it. And like I said, I know my mom, she teaches 4th grade, and she's like, no, I'm using your book to teach things. So ages 2 to 7. What about yours?
Mine, I would say that the language is a little bit more sophisticated. I mean, I read it actually. I read my manuscript to my nephew, who is about 3, and he was able to really keep up with it. But I would say maybe 3 to 9, more so 4 to 9.
Yeah,
but,
yeah. I see that.
Because mine is definitely not rhyming. It's a narrative. It's a story, and I actually wrote my second one, which I'm gonna try to get that out by like September.
Exclusive.
It's called Zorah, the Brave Ballerina. That's what it's called.
Did I inspire you?
Actually, okay. So a little background on Zorah. Zorah is basically me at 6. Yeah. That's basically what it is. I gave my illustrator a picture of myself at 6 years old, and it said, "Here, draw," and down to the gap in my teeth. It's me. And it's like a play on words, because my name is Deborah, O-R-A-H, Zorah, O-R-A-H. So it's a play on that. And Zorah Neale Hurston is my favorite author.
Stop it. I mean, I'm Maya Angelou, but I love Zorah too.
Right. Their Eyes Are Watching God is my favorite book. So it's a play on that. So Zorah she's quirky, she's curious, she asks a lot of questions. She's has a very, very vivid imagination, and her favorite teddy bear that she believes is alive, that comes alive when all the adults leave the room, is Mr. Fuzzyface, and that was the teddy bear growing up, Mr. Fuzzyface. So Zorah and the Brave Ballerina is based off of an essay that I wrote about the first time I ever went to ballet class, because I was painfully shy around people I did not know, and I mean, I was a loudmouth, obnoxious, whatever, around my friends and family and like classmates, but around people I don't know. And she said, enough is enough. Of course, in her Jamaican accent, enough is enough. You got to go to ballet class. You're going to go and you're going to get out of this shining. And it's just the horror that she feels in class in this ballet school. Like, what? Like, what am I doing? What? and how she, in the end, kind of like builds up her self-confidence and becomes brave. That's yeah. So I want each book to because Zorah definitely will be a series, and I want it to be quirky, and but at the end I want it to have a lesson, tell a story, but have a lesson at the end.
Yeah, I love the lesson part. Like, that's the goal, to have a lesson. Like, you had fun, but now here's the lesson. Did you both self-publish? Yes, the wifey we did.
Oh my gosh, you should put her in and interview us.
I know. Yeah, so this one was self-published in August 2020, and as I've said, this one is for April 1st, 2021. So yeah, we self-published, and one of the things about self-publishing is that, one, you're your own marketer, promoter, boss, because you might not do your own illustrations, but you need to have that vision to know what you want for your illustrations. I didn't know that at first. Like, I sent my manuscript to my illustrator, and she's like, yeah, so what do you want on the pages? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, that's what you're for. For the first one, I had to like detail, but for the second one, I guess because we had built up that relationship, she pretty much took the reins on that. So I was like, okay, great. But so like, what do you want with your illustrations? I didn't know there were different types of illustrations and things like that. So self-publishing for me really relies on reviews. And so again, if you've been following me this week, my ebook for teachers is free. Downloads have been great. We've been number one on different categories, but I haven't gotten many reviews, so I need those reviews, people. What about you?
Right? Well, I self-published as well. I'm self-publishing because mine is on pre-order. You can get it at leapforwardbooks.com. In a couple of weeks, it'll be on Amazon for pre-order. But right now, I'm really concentrating on the hardcover. I want to purchase the hardcover. You get book swag, which is like bookmarks and stickers and fridge magnets and stuff like that, but you also get a signed copy. And I can't do that with Amazon. So I want to get the pre-orders out so those special orders can go out and then put it on Amazon, and then you can go and get the paperback. And I also want I want people to buy the book because ebooks, I want to get kids away reading off of a tablet and actually hold a physical book and read. I'm kind of old school that way. Yeah. I want you to actually hold the book. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. But I started an LLC to publish my books because I know that I want to publish not only my book, but eventually I want to help other people publish their books. Eventually, that's down the road. But I was a little bit more knowledgeable coming in because I researched and I found a really terrific editor. I'm going to shout her out. I don't know if she's here. Her name is Brooke Vitale. She has like over 20 years in as an editor with like the major publishing houses. So she's really keen on like what works and what doesn't work. And she said, no, this is what you got to do. You got to do your pagination. And I was like, pagination? What? What pagination? She's like, you got to do your pagination. You got to have this on this page, that on that page, and you got to have like a little synopsis of a suggested art. So when you give it to the illustrator, she has an idea of what needs to be on each page. And I was just like, okay, well, that's good to know. So when I gave my when I gave it to the illustrator, I was a little bit. I think she thought I knew more than I actually did about the whole process because I didn't. This is all new. This is all new to me. New and exciting. So did you start an LLC? Did you incorporate for?
So I have not incorporated, and at this time I'm not. I started in a publishing imprint, which does not require the same rigors of actually having an LLC. Okay. However, because with teachers, I decided to go ahead because people were like, I want a signed copy. So I was like, okay, well, let me start trying to sell books from my website or whatever. And doing that, if I accept money under Sugar Cookie Books, I had to do a DBA. So I just filed my DBA so I won't get in trouble, girl, with the IRS, So at the White Free Rehab, got all the questions and we love it.
Love it.
What was the greatest challenge with self-publishing?
Nika is the best. Yeah, well, you can go first. What's your challenge? I don't mind it.
Oh God, he said, hey, Andrew. So I think my greatest challenge was one, getting started, because again, this was something that has been in the works for many years. I would venture to say over 30 years in the works. So just trying to figure out how to get started and when to get started was a challenge to overcome to actually get into the process. But then the hardest challenge once getting into the process is I would just keep going back to marketing. I think me and Deborah are kind of, oh God, don't be trying to call me out, but I'm an introvert, okay? And so as an introvert, and I'm private.
Half and half.
Okay, and I'm private, and I just created Instagram in February, okay? So I was like, I'm not getting on Instagram. I barely have my Facebook. Like, all I have is Facebook and LinkedIn. I don't do all that social media. I definitely don't do lives. I don't do videos. That's not me. But with the book or trying to be a self-published author, you do have to put yourself out there like now. And, actually I'm enjoying this part of the journey more than I thought I would. What about you, Deb?
I think so too. I think a lot of people know that I was like, oh my God, I can't do this live. I can't do this live. And what if I fumble and I sound dumb or whatever? But it's once you get into it, I think I do enjoy it. Remember when we had the conversation on when we did the FaceTime conversation? I said to you, this could be alive right here. What we're doing, we've been on the phone for like an hour. This could have been alive. So yeah. So I think I definitely agree that marketing has been the difficult part. Getting started, like I said, we're overthinkers. So of course I researched it at naught before I even started. And then the whole process of looking for an illustrator, because I had a particular vision of how Zorah was supposed to look and how everything is supposed to look, and I like going crazy trying to find an illustrator that I felt captured what I was looking for, because a lot of I was like, do I want watercolors? I want this. I was very, very fortunate that I was just kind of like, I put in the hashtag illustrator in Instagram, and I found Stephanie Heider, who is absolutely amazing. That was it. How did you find your illustrator?
Y'all, so I don't know who all is familiar with Fiverr.com, but I know there's horror stories with Fiverr. But I actually found my illustrator on Fiverr, and she's actually in the Ukraine. But I told her that I wanted, diverse characters, and I think she's done a really good job, and people have said they love the illustrations, so especially that little girl right there. So yeah, I got mine from Fiverr after researching.
Okay, yeah. Mine is actually, she's in the United States. For me, it was important that my illustrator be in the United States, only because, of course, going back to the law thing, I was like that I had heard some horror stories. I heard some horror stories of people not giving original work, duplicating work for other people, and getting cease and desist letters. And I was just like, okay, I don't want that. Yeah. If something goes awry, I could come get you. I could come get you. And so I said the best way to do that is make sure they're in the United States, and I got an airtight illustrator contract so that, so if anything. And that's another thing I wanted us to talk about, because that's really important. And I think a lot of I see questions on Facebook, on the Facebook author group about content. And, do you have a sample contract? Do you have a sample contract? What should I put in an illustrator contract? And a lot of people don't know. And if you're getting a contract straight from an illustrator or a designer or what have you, or even if you're going with, like, if you're not really wanting to go the full self-publishing route, you maybe want to go to someone that's like a service, that they'll publish the book for you, and then they claim that they're giving you all the work, those vanity publishing companies.
Yes.
You should know what you're getting into, because their contracts are not always, they're kind of skewed to them and not always going to be in your best interest. So that's something that I also definitely down the line I want to offer, is just like sample contracts and kind of coach people through the self-publishing to know what to look out for so they're not burned. So that's a challenge also. Because I know when I got my contracts, I just was like, I need to read this over, and I need to let's talk about what's like. That was my feeling. So.
And you had a prior life as a book editor before you took the leap yourself.
I'm thinking a prior life. That's just a side. That's another side. I'm a woman of many skills, many talents. No, that's another thing I do. I do book editing. I enjoy it because I did a lot of it when I was in college. I studied psychology and English in college, so I did it throughout. I would edit people's term papers, and when I got to law school, I would edit for my boss at the time, when I was working as a legal assistant. I would edit his motions and briefs and so forth, and even as a lawyer, when I moved outside of New York, I took on a job where I was writing and editing for other lawyers. So I figured if I could do it for legal stuff, I'm very creative. I like creative writing, and I studied creative writing in college. I could do it for creative writing. And so I've been doing that, and I do that on the side. I enjoy it. It helps also with my writing. But even though I worked on on the side as an editor, I would never suggest anyone not have another set of eyes look at their work. Definitely.
So tell the people, if you knew when you decided that you were going to become an author, like take the leap for books, if you were going to be a children's book author.
That's a great point.
I know.
I didn't think that at all. I always thought, and I think that's why writing kind of like fell to the wayside, because I write, because I have a blog also. I have a blog called Life.blog. My Rebooted Life.blog, where I write essays and stories about my life and about my family and stuff like that. And I thought I was going to write a novel, I still do one day. But what made me think about it was that my sister is writing a children's book, and she consulted me about just how, because she knows I'm a researcher. I research, so she was like, "Can you read how to do?" So I did it, and I was like, children's book. Okay. Could I do that? Maybe I could do that. And I will credit her, Trisha O'Connor. I'm telling you right now, I credit you, my sister, with giving me the motivation to say, well, wait a second. I think I can do this. And I'm happy I did, because I'm always looking for something to, like I said, motivate my nieces and nephews. I'm very big on education and learning and everything with them. And I thought, and this is a great way to motivate them. Did you think even going to law school and being a lawyer and everything, do you think that this was in the
author? Yes. Like you, I do have a blog. Like when I launched my website and things for the book, I did create a blog called The True. Yeah, girl, I didn't tell you that song.
Yeah, what is it?
It's called, sugarcookiesbooks.com, but it's called The True TEA. And so the TEA stands for Trials, Accomplishments, and Trials, Errors, and Accomplishments. And so it's like about the journey of being a self-published author. And so with that, I did not think I was going to be a children's book author. I knew I was going to be an author at some point, or a writer at some point. I thought it was going to be a memoir. Don't know why. I thought it was going to be maybe a self-help book for teenage girls, and I have like a little draft floating out somewhere, so hopefully it doesn't get snatched one day. And I'm like, hey, that was something I did. And then I thought that I was going to do adaptive screenplays, because I love, like I said, I love movies, and I love watching the Oscars, or I did love watching the Oscars, and they had that category, adaptive screenplays, and I was like, that is so cool. I would love to do that. So that was something I thought. I said I'll be a blog writer. Perhaps I am. And children's book did not come around until my son. So my son gets the credit for a children's book author, because we read books together. Him and his dad read books together. Like, we're book people. Like, growing up, I was drop everything and read girl, and he's pretty much the same or whatever. He loves reading a book. So creating something that we both could enjoy was how that happened. Now, if we did do the other being novels, it would be so much cheaper.
or even young adult. I thought about that. The small chapter books.
Yeah.
So remember, I don't know. Back in the day, Judy Blume and right. I love those books. I'm thinking about that. That's a little bit more work. It's a little cheaper to make. Definitely a little cheaper. Not as much illustrations.
Exactly.
But I'm thinking of that. But Zorah for now, and I have like a whole books. I have a bunch of children's books now. Because so how often do you write? When do you write?
So that's a good question, because it's kind of sporadic. So like I have drafts, if you will, for all of the first 4 books. So actors, teachers, lawyers, and engineers. Those are all, actors is obviously published, teachers is nearly published, and lawyers I have a draft for, and engineers I have a draft for. And so it's sitting there, and sometimes I'll be like, let me just go back and read it and see what happens. And then I'll read it, and I'm like, I don't like that. So it's like just going through a big editing phase, and because I'm not ready to publish it, I haven't like just sat down and been like, ooh, let me make sure it sounds terrific. So maybe in 6 months or so, when I decide that I'm ready to publish it again, I'll sit and be like, I have to really tweak this to make this right. But they're all in draft form. To answer the question.
Write every day? Like, do you consider yourself a writer?
I I consider myself a 9-to-5 employee. I work all day long. And then at night, after, my son goes to bed and maybe I'm done, because I do podcasting too. So after I'm done watching my show, I know, girl.
All over the place like me. There you go.
The pandemic did this, So, and the podcast is on TV and film, so I have to watch my TV. So after I watch my TV shows, maybe record my podcast, then, like I said, I might have a thought. I'll be like, let me go check my draft. What?
Where do you get the energy to do all?
I don't know. I think because I like it. Like, the podcast is with my friend, one of my really, really good friends. And so, being able to talk to her every week is just a joy. And the writing part is, something that I'm creating, and my husband and my mom are like so supportive of it, and Andrew loves it. So that's great. And it's like I'm fulfilling something. And then the 9-to-5, I have to do that so I can have a home, live. But so the writing, it's just at the moment is happening sporadically because all the effort is going into putting teachers out, and that manuscript is already done.
Gotcha.
You?
I like the wee hours of the morning. I get up. I know. I go to bed, girl. I pop up at like 5:30. I don't know what it is. I can go to bed at 2. 5:30. I'm up, and because it's quiet. Nobody's awake, and nobody's asking me for anything. Nobody's calling me, whatever. So, that's when I tend to write. And I'll do it in one fell swoop. It just comes to me, and I just write it. I just write it. It's never just I have a bunch of things that I have just like halfway through that I got an idea and I just started it, and then I just kind of died. But the best stuff that I've written, I just was like, oh, I got this, and then I drive everybody crazy because if I happen to get that, like let's say in the middle of the day. Don't talk to me. I'm gonna lose it. I gotta do it. So yeah, that's for me. I love to do it. But my days are filled with something. I have so many other business ventures that I'm doing, and then I contract legal work that I would love to just phase out of, because I do see myself. For the longest time I was so angry because I always just saw myself as just a lawyer. And I wanted to be a writer for the longest time. And I went to like a summit, and somebody slipped me a piece of paper because they heard me talking, and they said, you got to change your mindset. You got to say that you are a writer that just happens to be a lawyer. And once you change your mindset and say that and surround yourself with like-minded people, like attracts, look at you, we're here talking, like attracts like, and you start to see yourself more as a lawyer and think more like a writer and think more like a writer. So I would consider myself a writer. I do.
Interesting.
A writer who happens to be a lawyer.
See, I don't know if I've took that leap yet. That's interesting, though.
I'd be a lawyer, yeah.
Even though I'm published and all, but I just don't know if I accepted that.
Yeah, it's sometimes hard to think of yourself to say that you're an author.
Yeah.
Even though the technical term is that you're an author if you've been published, but to say that sounds so,
Yeah, and the thing is, like, so when I published actors, I didn't tell my coworkers or the people I worked with, and my husband was like, why not? And I was like, I don't know. And so it happened to come out. I can't remember what happened. And whenever we have functions, virtual functions, they're like, hey, we have an author. And I'm like, oh, me?
Stop it.
Because I don't want that attention. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's me, I guess. So just getting comfortable with, speaking about my own stuff. That, again, marketing, getting comfortable with that is something I have to work on, or I am working on.
Yeah.
Always having like the elevator pitch and things.
Yeah, that marketing is a beast because you have to get up every day and you have to post. Yeah, you do. You got to post. You have to engage. You have to be comfortable talking about your book, talking about yourself. So that, back to that. Yeah, that would be the most Second, I mean, the ideas will come. The ideas will come, but you have to put it together and market it. And also, let's get down to nitty gritty, because not everybody, it's not cheap.
No.
Self-publishing is not cheap.
No. You can kickstart it.
I'm kickstarting Zorah and the Brave Ballerina. I sure am.
You're so brave.
I'm gonna definitely kickstart that, because it's not cheap, and the ideas are coming faster than my pocketbook. Then I can actually churn them out.
That's right.
Right. Because I would love. I've heard some people say that they put out like 5-10 books a year. I'm like, bless you.
Are they doing children's books, or you're talking about? Because remember, I told you earlier, I said I got debunked by Diane Albert of the Little Spot series, and I hate to give her a plug, but I got debunked on my number one spot in one of my categories, even though she's not in the right category. But anywho, she puts out like 10 books a year, if not more. But she's her own writer and illustrator, and I'm like, you cheated.
Drawer. I could only, because I can see it. I see the vision of what I want in mind. I could only draw stick figures. I can't do it.
I mean, her spot kind of looks like a stick figure, but she does have other characters in there too. But I'm just like, man, yeah, we'll have way more books if it wasn't for the illustrations and the cost. And people talk about Kickstarter all the time in our groups that we're in, and some have really good luck. I mean, the ones who post about it usually have the luck, and a few are honest and be like, no, I failed at my Kickstarter. But it just seems like a lot.
I'm gonna try it.
Let me know, girl.
The only bad thing about Kickstarter is that if you're at the deadline and you could be like $2 away from your goal, and if you don't get that $2, then it's gone.
But that's only if you do all or nothing option.
Oh, I thought Kickstarter was always all or nothing. I don't know. Logo is not, but I heard Kickstarter is all or nothing.
No, but I heard that if you're going to do a Kickstarter, you want to do all or nothing, because people will be more invested to invest, versus if you say, I'm going to do it regardless, and then you just take their money even though you didn't meet your goal. But yeah, so they do have those two options from a little bit I know about Kickstarter.
Okay. And also, I wanted to say about Kickstarter, because I had spoken through Facebook messaging with another author who I had suggested. I was like, would you consider Kickstarter? And her perception of it was that you're kind of like, asking for charity. You're asking for your friends and your family. And it's not. It really isn't. First of all, it's not necessarily asking your friends and family for anything. You're asking people. But what you're doing is so anyone out there who's listening, you don't know. Kickstarter. Okay. Crowdfunding. It's sort of like a GoFundMe for filmmakers. If you have a product that you're trying to launch, authors, all the like. So yeah, crowdfunding.
Like GoPro. No, what is it? That little camera thing? GoPro, I think it was called. That little camera thing. Yeah, a lot of companies use it because, like we're saying, it's like a fundraiser. But the difference is, I don't know if there's a difference, but it's like a big fundraiser, in my opinion, where you launch your product and say, hey, I want to do Andrew Learns About Teachers. I have a couple of illustrations, and I'll tell you why you want this. And I haven't published it yet or produced it yet because I'm waiting on your money. And so if you want to see this go into production, then please donate. And if you donate, sometimes they give things like bookmarks or other swag to.
Oh, wait, but here's the thing, though. Not because every Kickstarter I've seen, people are not really donating. They're actually it's because a lot of authors I've seen use it as their pre-orders.
Right.
So that they're donating, you're actually getting something for your money. So like, let's say if you gave $25, then for $25 you're getting a copy of the book. You're getting and you're getting all of the books back. So you're getting everything that you would get if you were ordering a pre-order from someone's book from their website, but you're doing it through Kickstarter. And then they have different rewards. Like so for when I do mine, say I have if you donate $50, you'll get a copy of Zorah and the very big question, and a copy of Zorah and the ballerina, the brave ballerina, and you'll get some book swag, and you get and I've seen ones where they even have like classroom bundles where if you give like $300, you get 10 books for your classroom, and you also get a Zoom get a Zoom of me talking to your class, reading the book to you, or a visit to something like that. So you get something for the book. You're not just giving money. You're not just giving money. And I think some people had the misperception that I've spoken to that that's what it is. You're kind of like asking people for money for.
First, you have to educate people about what Kickstarter is. Then you have to educate people about what your product is and why they want it. Then you have to, like you said, put it against that timer. And then because Kickstarter takes a lot of fees here,
you got to promote. You got to
promote it. And Kickstarter takes a lot of fees, so you have to ask for above and beyond what you really need. And I'm just like, that's a lot of stress that I'm not willing to put on myself. But please chronicle your journey.
I've heard some really great success stories where people were able to really get their book out, and that's the most important thing: get their book out there, and it got into classrooms, and it did really, really well. So I'm gonna try it. Doesn't work, it doesn't work. Doesn't hurt to try. So yeah. So let's see what else. What was a surprising thing that you learned about this whole process, about yourself?
Oh, that's good. About myself. So I learned that, I'm not trying to sound cheesy, but it's kind of like limitless. So when you push yourself into unknown territories, you learn that you actually really have a lot of skills that you never before tapped into. I put a post about it one time, but like some of the skills that I didn't realize that I had and wouldn't have realized I had, like I'm really good at Adobe Pro. Hey girl, at Adobe Pro now because just having to deal with this book. But something that I didn't know I could do was, just learning. Okay, so as women, even though we're in these positions of being attorneys, I know that sometimes I'm not as assertive as I probably should be, standing up for what I think, protecting my vision and things like that. And so with this book, I had to learn to be a boss and learn to be assertive and not compromise on what I wanted. And so that goes with like illustrations or something like, I don't care if I'm getting on her nerves about revising. Like for teachers, so she's Ukrainian, so the clothes they wear in Ukraine, I guess the school is different from the clothes we wear here. And so she was doing something with the collar, and I'm like, what is this collar about? And so I kept going back and saying, I don't like that collar, change the collar to like this or whatever. And we had that conversation like 10 times. And at first I was going to say, you know what, forget it. Like, it's cute, but even though it's not American, it's cute. And I was like, no, I don't want that collar. So I'm going to keep saying, change the collar. I sent her pictures and everything, and she finally got the collar. But like just having the ability to say, no, go back to the drawing board, or this is not what I want. I had a conversation with you earlier about, well, not a conversation, but I asked you for your advice earlier about, being stuck between trying to support, but also trying to stand my ground on what's better for me and what I'm trying to do, and help navigate me through that. But like stuff like that, like feeling compelled to say, but how do they say it? Say no to myself so somebody else can get a yes. So I'm like trying to learn to just be more assertive and be more boss, and be okay with that. Like it's okay to say no to people or tell people what you want and keep going until you get it.
I agree. I would say the biggest thing that surprised me was just we were talking, and I was supposed to be thinking about what it was.
Just so captivating.
It's just, I guess that I can do it. That I kind of like I demystified self-publishing. I broke it down and I said, okay, how do I do this? How do I do that? I mapped it out, and I'm surprising myself all the time. Since 2020, I've been surprising myself all the time how much I can learn. I mean, little side note here, I homeschooled my son throughout middle school. I did, yeah. And I mean, I researched that for like 3 months before I even attempted to do it. So
I'm your research girl.
I definitely have to know what I'm going into before I do it. And with self-publishing, it's definitely a learning curve. It's definitely it takes time to figure out all the nuances because there's so many working parts involved, getting the ISBNs, and you got to do the copyright, and there's so many working parts, but you stick to it, and you can get through it, and you can do it, and then you have something at the end that you can say that's like almost like, that's out there in the world that'll be out there even after you're gone. So yeah.
So I have a question before I forget it. Do you think? So we're self-published authors at the moment, but if a traditional publishing company like Penguin House came, like, hey girl, I like your Zorah, would you?
I don't know. So I was told by an editor that usually what happens with that is that you got to sell like 50,000 copies before I've heard that. I don't know that. I'm sure that there are situations where they did not sell that many copies in order to get to a publisher. But when you think about it, they take a lot of your money. That's a lot of money.
But they handle marketing.
They handle, I don't know. I don't know what I would do. I honestly don't. I remember reading an article about a self-published author whose character got picked up by Netflix, which I was...
That's what I said I wanted my stuff to be like made into a series, like a TV series for PBS or something. That's like down the line.
Right. But I was like, that's awesome. You know what? I think I'm open to wherever this goes because, as our wifey friend, Nika Arnold Scott said, you go into a situation with like a little bowl. I know, Nika, I'm messing this up. You go in with a bowl. I know.
Where are we going with this bowl? Is the bowl even in the saying?
Go into a situation thinking that, with this little bowl that, I'm just going to write this little book and I'm just going to, put this out there. And, God may have something way bigger for you. So I'm open to it. I'm not gonna put myself in a little fish bowl and say to myself that this
fish bowl. Okay, I thought you were talking like a cereal bowl.
No, I think she was actually talking about a cereal bowl. Nika, I'm sorry, I'm messing.
I'm like, can you help us with the out because I'm not following.
Let's go with the fish bowl. It's a fish bowl, but he may have a whole ocean for you waiting, right?
Gotcha.
I like that. So I'm gonna take it wherever. Oh, there she go. It was a cereal bowl versus gallon bucket.
Thank you, guys. Thank you with this bowl.
Thank you. The cereal bowl versus the gallon bucket. Thank you. So, but the point is that I'm not gonna limit myself. I'm gonna take it wherever it goes, wherever the opportunity, takes me, and take it as it comes. Yeah,
pretty much. I was about to say before we wrap up, because I have to feed my child.
Oh wow!
If y'all have any more questions or comments, let us know because we're wrapping up. Where can we buy your book?
You can pre-order. You can pre-order Zorah and the Very Big Question hardcover copy for $19.99 at leapforwardbooks.com. If you pre-order between now and I think I'm going to 15, we're guaranteed to get a copy by launch date, which is
and your launch is when again?
It's in May. I'm aiming for May 22nd. I'm hoping that the printers don't mess up, and I can actually do it on May 22nd, which is my birthday. Yay. But yeah. So if you leapforwardbooks.com, and I will definitely, if you go to leapforwardbooks.com and you subscribe, then you'll be notified as to when it's out for pre-order on Amazon. And I know yours is different.
Yeah, so Andrew Learns About Actors is available, of course, on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Walmart, and Books A Million. Thanks, yay! Or she might be talking about Zorah. But either way, thank you.
I thought she was talking about Zorah, but I don't know. She could have been ordered.
So that's Actors, and it's also, of course, on my website. Like I said, I'm going to start offering signed copies as well. And so that can be purchased on my website at sugarcookiebooks.com. Andrew Learns About Teachers is available in paperback on April 1st, 2021. So we have next week, next Thursday, I think. Yeah, so that'll be ready. And and you can also purchase a signed copy of the book on sugarcookiebooks.com. And I'm also offering bundles on both books on sugarcookiebooks.com. So that'll be cool. Hey, Karen.
Just gave her a little wave. That is awesome. So how did we do on our first live?
I think we liked it. We got supports.
I think we did really well. We got 6 people in the room. I think we did really. I think we could do this again when the Zorah and the ballerina comes out, when your lawyers come out. I think we could do this again.
I can wait for lawyers, obviously, but because it's going to hit close to home. It's hard to write lawyers because I don't know how to break it down for a 2 to 7-year-old and make it rhyme, girl.
Not all lawyers go to court. I know some kids think that all lawyers go to court.
Exactly.
But they don't.
Exactly. And not just kids think that, grown-ups think that too. They're like, what you do, go to court all day? No. Yeah, thank you. Thank y'all. Y'all so sweet.
Before you go, do you have engineers in your family, or do you have to research it?
So I do have, my guy best friend. So y'all saw my girl best friend, Ogati, who was on here. I don't know if she's still here, but if you are, hey girl. So my guy best friend, he's an engineer, and my cousin is an engineer. And so I actually was like, hey, I was being all covert with it. I was like, hey, if you had to explain your job to your kid, who's like 4 at the time, I was like, what would you say? And they're like, okay, this is weird, but I think I would say. And so using some of that as inspiration, and then of course having to do research because I'm not an engineer. So I had to research what are the skills you need for an engineer? What do engineers do in the first place? I have to know what it is so I can break it down in a rhyming fashion for the kiddos. So that one is actually coming along better than lawyers. But lawyers is the next one. And what I am excited about with lawyers as well, in addition to being one and teaching about it, is that it's going to introduce dad. So actors and teachers has been Andrew and Mama. And so in lawyers, it's going to be Mama and Andrew still, but then dad comes into the picture. And my husband was so excited. And then in engineers, it's going to be Andrew and daddy or whatever. So I'm like, oh, that's going to be so cool because I can't think of no books where the father's there like that. Having conversation.
Right there. Zorah's mom actually is a lawyer.
Yeah.
Zorah's mom is a lawyer. Her dad, it was very interesting trying to decide what her dad did. But her dad is a business owner, and he's a chef. He owns a restaurant. He's a business owner.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to have the dads in the book.
Yeah.
I mean, her dad is right there helping her do her homework and she asking questions and stuff like that. I think that's important. But so this
my husband was like, so is he gonna what is his hair gonna look like? I'm like, are you serious right now? He's so excited. And he's like, well, I want him to look. I'm like, Mama and Andrew learns about actors and teachers. I mean, I told him to be about my age and slender, but she doesn't look like me. And he's like, but I want mine to look like me. Whose book is it? It's my book.
Paul actually has locks because at the time when I started this, I had locks, and so I was like, all right, well, it's too late to change how she looks now, But first has locks. Maybe she'll chop off the locks in the next book. But I don't know. Kids might get confused. They'd be like, what? He has a mom? What's going on? He has a new mom? What happened to the mom? So I think I'm just going to keep it because because it was really important for me for the characters to be women of color and be natural. I want afros. I want locks. I want big puffy hair. I want her to see people on television that have big naturals. So that was really important for me too.
And that's what I loved about how she did. We don't have locks in my books because I feel like when you see diverse books, you see the locks a lot of times. So I felt like I didn't have to do that. Well, she didn't draw it, and then I didn't suggest she draw it because I was like, well, I think we see locks a lot. But natural hair was something, and I'm going to show y'all a sneak peek. Look at this little girl's hair. Isn't she so cute? I love her. I was like, I see kids like that in class. So anyway.
Yeah. 8 o'clock, and I know you've got to go.
Yes. Thanks, kiddo. I don't know if you have to hear him screaming right now.
Right. So when is it available?
April 1st, 2021. So next Thursday, right? Yeah.
Yeah, next Thursday, and you can get Andrew Learns About on Amazon.
Amazon.com and sugarcookiebooks.com. If you're like, I don't know how to search it on Amazon, just go to sugarcookiebooks.com and you can access it there. Yeah, and also on sugarcookiebooks.com, you'll have the blog, and so that's the True Tea blog. And so if you're a self-published author, you'll see some blogs about copywriting, whether you should do it or not, and if you do decide to do it, how to go about doing it, ISBNs and barcodes, which, like you said, we see a lot of questions about. Do I need one? What is it? So I have a whole blog about that, or a blog post. Hey, Nicola Wood. Thank you. Amira's talking to one of us. I think she's talking to me. Thank you.
I'll show my book. So there you go. There's mine.
Yay!
And all the little jobs that she can do. There you go. But okay, and mine is at leapforwardbooks.com. You can pre-order now to get, like I said before, hardcover copy with lots of book swag. And it'll be available for pre-order on Amazon soon. I think within the next couple of weeks it'll be available. But yeah.
I know. So I will say that the formats for actors is ebook, paperback, hardback, and then teachers currently is going to be ebook and paperback, because this is another challenge. Unless you're doing what Deb is doing, if you go through Ingram Sparks, honey child, it's so hard to upload that stuff and get it all perfect. The whole hardback will be coming later on. Oh, thanks.
Yeah. With the hardback, it definitely is.
Amira wants your book, girl.
Oh yeah, Leap Forward book. Oh, and I also wanted to let people know that if you subscribe to my website, I painstakingly did this. I know Oprah did one a few years ago, but I added for and updated it. I compiled a list of over 150, I think it's almost 200 Black-owned bookstores throughout the United States. Black-owned bookstores and bookstores that really showcase and highlight books that have Black and brown characters by Black and brown authors. They're physical and virtual bookstores. So if you subscribe to leapforwardbooks.com, you'll get an automatic email with a download, so you can get that list, and you can find your local bookstores that cater to Black and brown authors. If they're even open because of the pandemic, but they have a lot of them are also selling virtually. So you can, if you can't actually go to the physical.
I was just about to say that. I was just about to plug Myra. I was just about to say Myra is also, she's a teacher, but she's also a self-published author like ourselves, and her book is Mighty Miles and the Major Problem. Write the whole thing so I can know, so I can say it right. Right. But it's exploring the pandemic, like navigating the pandemic as like a young Black boy.
And if there are any self-published authors out there that are watching us right now, a lot of these in my list, I've contacted a lot of them. They will sell your book on consignment. If you have your book with Ingram Sparks, you let them know, and they will get the books from Ingram Sparks and sell it in their books in their bookstores.
Yes.
For the split.
Mighty Mouse, the Major Problem.
Oh, hey, gotta check that out.
She's a great supporter too. I just love that. I know I need to get off so I can feed my child, but seeing Myra and Nanny, I'm saying it all wrong. Sorry, y'all. I got pregnancy brain.
Problem.
But just seeing us support each other has really been great. Finding a network to share in this journey. I really enjoy finding Deborah just being so open. I'm like, I just needed this one thing, and she's like, no, this is what we need to do. And so.
Asked one question about whether she should use someone for a marketer, and I'm like, no. Here's a list of every market. I'm very open with sharing information. I always believe in it. It may sound corny, but I really believe that when one of us wins, we all win. And for far too long, there were so few books for us, by us, out there. And, I'm so happy that so many of us are realizing that we can, self-publishing has opened up the world now. We don't have to wait for somebody to give us a voice. We can go out there and put our voice out there. And there's so many authors now, female authors, Black authors, who are putting the books out there. And I think we should all support each other and encourage each other, empower each other to put it out there. And because it's good for the children. For the next generation is going to see way more than we did. Way more.
And it was at Nanny Miss Monique. Sorry, girl. I had that just going all crazy.
All right. Go feed your baby.
All right. Thank y'all so much. Until next time. I'm Super Sasha Jones. You just missed us.
Well, she can the replay. Go.
But I'm glad you joined. And thank you so much for supporting us and hearing us and listening to us.
Thank you, everyone who joined in and listened to us. And, because the jitters are gone. I can do this again now. We could do this again. I say we do this again when the next books come out.
I know we should add someone to the conversation. I don't know how many people we could have on live.
I know. Next time we'll add Nika because she came with the good questions. We'll do that.
I know, put some get ahead. And the Craft Cook Cocktails join. We're logging off.
We're logging off.
You came to see us. Thank you so much.
All right, well, let me get out of here. Let you get out of here. It was great talking to you. Take care.
Bye.